My name's Alan Hart and today I'm going to show you how to move a radiator. So we've got a radiator on the wall here and we've got the bed, so the radiator is in the way of where we want to put the bed. So I'm going to move this radiator and put it on the wall over there. So I'm going to drain the system down and I'm going to cut the boards up and I'm going to show you different options. So different options of cutting boards up, different pipe work, so it may be that you want to use plastic pipe, it may be you want to use copper, so I'm just going to show you some different options with that as well. So first of all I'm going to drain the system down and I'm going to move all this bed and stuff out of here, so I'll do that now. So I've got the radiator on this wall and we wanted to move it onto this wall here, and then that's the door coming into the room. So as we can see with floorboards, the floorboards go this way, so the pipes, these pipes, this is going to come this way, I would have thought, and same with this one here. And we can see some of the boards have already been disturbed before, you can see they're all smashed. So we'll take some of them boards up. If we have a look on this side as well, we can see there's a cut there. So we know that's been taken up before as well, and then again there's a cut there. So we'll lift these boards up now. So when possible we'll always lift the boards that's been lifted before, because they're already slightly damaged or cut and they're just easier to lift up. But I'm gonna cut some of this floor in a different place just to show you different options as well on cutting it, because it may be that your boards haven't been up before. But first of all, just lift this up. So for this I've got a flat bolster and obviously my hammer, and then I've got a screwdriver. Try not to use a screwdriver if possible because they tend to snap the boards, but if you use your big flat one, it just makes it a bit easier. You just want to be really gentle as you're lifting it. Don't try and just snap it up because you'll just snap the board. But if you're careful, you can lift them up without damaging them. If we have a look here now, I'll just show you. So we can see there the pipes have been put in and they go this way. And then one thing I would say is always be very wary with health and safety. Never leave boards with nails in like this. So I will always take these nails out. It's very easy for one of the customers, for the kids or somebody to walk in, or even yourself, and stand on one of these nails, and you don't want that to happen. So we've got quite a few different options we can use for cutting the boards to start with. So we could use a jigsaw, put it in like that, cut it like that. I definitely wouldn't recommend that, but as a last resort sometimes. Circular saw. So it may be you've just got a circular saw, and if you've got a circular saw, one thing I'll say to you is make sure your depth is correct. So adjust your depth to the thickness of the board, and then if you cut through, and if there was any wires or any pipes or anything close to the joist, then you won't cut through the joist. So that's if you're going to use a circular saw. I've used a circular saw for many years. It's only recently that I've moved on to using the fane. This is brilliant. The good thing with fane is that it's a neat cut, so you're only cutting where you need to cut. But with that, you do need to be careful not to cut down too much. So as you feel it cut through, then obviously stop, because if there's out underneath, you don't want to be cutting into any wires that are underneath. So just be careful if you're going to use a fane. So yeah, there are different options of cutting the boards up. So just before I drain this down, I'm going to see which one the flow and return is. So my belief is we try and put the TRV on the floor if possible. So I'm just going to turn the heating on, and then we'll see which one gets warm first. on these little tails here. So I've got my nest, so I've just put heating on there now. So that should come on. So what you'll find is when you buy TRVs will have an arrow on them, and sometimes they've got arrows both ways, which means that the manufacturers say you can put them on the floor or the return, which is okay if you're doing swaps, then fine. But if I'm going to fit a new radiator in here now, I'm going to put it on that wall there. It's easy for me to find out which the floor and return is, and once I know which the floor and return is, so I know that this pipe here is the floor, because this is starting to get warm now, and this one's cold. So what I'll do is I'll just mark this pipe under the floor, and I'll mark it on here. So now I know that that's floor. So yeah, so my belief is that if you've got a thermostat on, you don't want the radiator heat to get into the radiator and then for it to shut off. So if it's on the floor, it'll be slightly more reactive. It probably makes very little difference, but it's just the way I do it, and you know, that's what I've always done. If you're doing a full system, try and put them on floor if possible. As I say, it's not in the world if you can't do that, but yeah. So I'm sure if any manufacturers want to disagree with me, if you can add it in comments below and tell me that I'm wrong, I'm happy, always happy to be told that I'm wrong. So yeah, so that's what I do there. I'm going to turn the seating back off now, it's getting warm in here. So if we look at pressure there, we've got pressure in. I'm just going to drain this down from the filter. It's just quick and easy for me to do it. Front filter. If you need to know other ways of draining the system, if you have a look at my other video, how to install a new radiator, there's some different options on that. So we've opened the drain off downstairs, so now we're just going to open bleed point. And what that will do, it allows air to go in, which allows the water to drain out. So when we look at this radiator, we can see that it's roughly where we would want it, off the floor. So what we'll do is once we've lifted the radiator off the wall, we'll just measure brackets, and then we can refit it the same height on this side. On there, just show you one thing. So I've removed the air point and the blanking at the top. It's something I always do. I just find it easier to lift the radiators by doing that. So then we'll just take the radiator off the wall. So all we need to do then is just measure from the bottom of the bracket to the skirting, and then we can do the same on the other side when we fit it on the wall. So one thing we need to be aware of is where the joists are under the floor, because we don't want to put the radiator, the valve, down where there's going to be a joist in the way. So if we have a look at this side, we can see they've done it so it's away from the joist, and then they've done that one as well, so it's away from the joist. So I need an extra board up here, so if we have a look where nails are, we know that the joist is under there, So I'm just going to get my fern and I'm just going to carefully cut that. So these boards have already been up before, because you can see it's had the tongue groove bit cut off. So again, as I say, make sure you take the nail out. Always do that first thing. So I'm just going to mark this board. Just put number 1 on there, number 1, and then just put number 2, number 2 there, just so that I know which board goes back where when I start putting boards back down. So if we look at that, we've got about 190 from top at skirting board to bottom at bracket. It don't have to be exact. As long as both brackets are level, then it's fine. So when I'm marking how far apart to put the radiator brackets, I just let radiator on floor like this, and then I'll do it to the centre of one of the brackets there, and then just put a dot on wall, and then same on the other side, and then you can just move radiator out of the way then. So we don't have a right lot of space on the back of the radiator with these brackets, so just always make sure you get the bracket level up the wall if you can. So I'm just going to mark the bracket now. So what we said was 190 up. So if you just do 190, so that's 190 millimeters, 19 centimeters, and then we'll use that and mark for the bracket. Just one thing on these brackets, one side is longer than the other. So if you want it close to the wall, then have the bracket with the smallest side coming off the wall. If you want it further off the wall, might be skirting boards are quite big, then turn it the other way. So I want it quite close to the wall here. So all I need to do is just mark that on the bottom of there, and then just mark for all those holes. So now we'll drill the holes and we'll put the plugs in, and then we'll put the screws in. Just be careful not to drill too far. So I normally use 2-inch 10s screws. So if you're gonna put 2-inch 10s in, then your hole only needs to be 2-inch or just a little bit over 2-inch. So when you drill, just make sure that you know, obviously you don't drill too far. You don't want to drill into a bedroom, or there might be a bathroom other side of it, and drill front tiles. So you know, just be really careful when you're drilling. can check which screw, just to make sure that you've drilled in far enough. And you can see on them, I've not drilled in quite far enough. So then we can just drill a little bit more. So I'm just going to put some red plugs in them. So I always knock the plug in a little bit so it don't pull out. So now we need to level the top of the bracket to where the other bracket is going to go. Just mark that with a marker pen, probably better with a pencil really. I normally use my laser level, so I don't really use pencils that much. So again, remember which way you put your bracket on. And then on this one, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark the sliding ones, and I'm just going to drill them ones, because then we can adjust this up and down foot level. So once we've drilled it, we can mark it, we can put level back on, and we can level those brackets up. You can see there now it's a little bit too low, so I've not tightened these very tight, so we should just be able to just knock that with hammer, tap it up a little bit, and now that's perfect now. So we can just tighten them up. And then if we wanted to, we could also put some screws in the other ones, which I'm going to do. I do go overboard a little bit, to be honest, with screws, and then now we can lift this radiator on wall now. So when lifting radiator onto the brackets, I always try and hook the bottom on first. And then once you've hooked the bottom on, then you can just lift the radiator up, and then that's nice and tight to the wall. And then we'll just check that out. Level. So I'm just going to take the old tails out on these, and then I'm going to put some new tails in and some new valves. Normally I'd use olive puller and I'd just pull nut off, but I can't find it at a minute and all the house is a mess, so I'm just going to put new tails in. Right, so now I'm going to put the new tail in. So most people use PTFE tape on there and then just wrap around about 20 wraps. I use Loctite 577. Just put a bit on thread all the way around, and then just tighten that up. You can buy tools to put these in, but if you're just going to do odd radiator now and again, it's a waste of money really. So I'm just going to cut some of this pipework back now. So I've just got some pipe cutters. Just put a little bucket underneath. Then the monument ones. You can see that it's got T's in, so that goes through to another rad. So for the purposes of this video, I'm going to reuse the pipe that we've took out. There's not wrong with it, so I'm just going to reuse that. So when we come to put a T into this pipework, I'm going to use press fit, but there's lots of different options. So you could use compression. So compression fitting has an olive inside. Personally, I wouldn't use compression on a heating system normally. You could use push fit. So I could put a push fit T in there quite easily. Or I could use soldered. So soldered would be okay if it were quite tight, because the press fittings are quite big. But one thing, we'll have some muck, a bit of muck in this pipe. So for me, press fit is going to be the best option. So just put us fitting on there, and then we can just mark it where we want it, just on there, and then just cut this section out. And then with press fit, you should mark them just so you know that fitting won't come out. And then all we do, we get his machine. And that's done. So the benefits of that, with no flux going in there, we're not going to catch out with blow lamp, and it's a solid fix. So if we had a push fit one, then it still move about. So there's pluses and minuses, and to be honest, if it does job, then it does job. So use whichever one that you feel is best for you. So I've got a stop end to go on that section of pipe there, where that is. So I'll press that on. So if you decided you want to use plastic pipe, there's all sorts of different plastic pipe you can use. You can use speed fit. Speed fit, if that nut is like that, when you push the pipe in, you can grab hold of it and you can pull it back out again. And then what you do to tighten that in, you just tighten your nut up, and that's tight, and that won't come out. So that's good. You'd always remember to put an insert in there. If you're going to use HEP, so HEP is a little bit different. When you push it in, you then need to use a tool to get it back out. So that's got a plastic tool. So it depends which you prefer with them as well. They come, so HEP comes with a metal insert. So you push your insert into pipe like that, and then you just get your fitting and just push your fitting on. So that's if you wanted to do it with push fit instead. And then if then you needed to take that back off, you have this little tool, you get this tool, and then you push that together, and then you can pull it back out again. So it's still nice and easy to remove. So it's just whichever you prefer. When I've used plastic, I've always used speed fit. It's just easy just to pull that back out, and then once you've finished, tighten that up. So I've always used speed fit. I prefer speed fit. I'm not saying one's better than another, because I don't think there's much difference. But as I say, with that one, you need the tool. So if you've lost the tool, or you can't do it as easy. But maybe that's not going to get knocked off as easy as well. So whichever one you prefer with that. So for this radiator here, I'm just putting the pipe there and just lining it up, and then I can just draw a line down, and then I can just drill that where I've drawn that line. So I've now got to put a piece of copper from here over to this pipe here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill into joist, because it's such a short piece, and I'll try and drill this down a little bit, or have it so that the copper is quite low down, so that when we're putting screws in, we don't screw through copper pipe. So we're just putting a press fit elbow onto there, and then I'm just going to put one on there as well, and then that'll be done. I've put the air points back in as well. Right, so we're going to fill the system up now and we're going to test all the pipework. So let's go down now and go top that up. So we're just bleeding the radiators now, or getting the air out of the radiators. It's all filled up now and it's all working, there's no leaks. That's how you move a radiator. I hope you find this video of some use. If you've got any questions at all, please ask them in comments below. And thank you for taking the time to watch this video.